So that was the scene. They arrested 300 people today in the Capitol Hill area. That scene could have been perhaps the same scene that you see in a lot of college campuses in protests these days. Protesters descending on the Hill over the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh as the issue of constitutional due process divides the nation. My next guest writing, quote, the polarizing atmosphere of the university has now spread to Congress. Here now to explain, Victor Davis Hanson, senior fellow at the Hoover Institution and the author of the upcoming book, The Case for Trump. Victor, good to have you with us tonight. You say that campus creed used to stay in the ivory tower, and it looks like the ivory tower is right behind you in that picture there. But now you say it is running the country. Explain that.
Yeah, I think the progressive movement has been driven and fueled by the campus. So if a senator walks to his office and he's disrupted, or Jeff Flake is confronted and screamed at in an elevator, or Ted Cruz can't eat because a crowd mobs him, or people dox the intimate information of a senator, that's sort of the Antifa, Black Lives Matter culture that's on campus, and it's worked very well. When you had that clip of Cory Booker when he said that Dr. Ford had her truth, that was a campus trope where there's all sorts of truths. There's not one truth that can be ascertained by cross-examination, evidence, testimony, or witnesses. It's empathy leads to sincerity, and sincerity is synonymous with credibility, regardless of evidence. And we also have that therapeutic culture we saw with the cross-examination of Dr. Ford, that even though you're an adult, and you are an adult on campus, there's trigger warnings or safe spaces. There's all sorts of therapeutic mechanisms so that you're not subject to undue stress. And yet these are pretty high stakes games when you're accusing somebody of sexual battery or even attempted rape, and you're going to destroy that person. And then you kind of combine the Victorian parlor and the 60s mores of anything goes as it suits you, and so you can retreat back into, oh, I can't be stressed, I'm claustrophobic, or I'm afraid of flying, and that's out of bounds, I can't mention that. But you can also then, in a passive-aggressive fashion, mention that your best friend has health challenges and pretty much defame her without a chance to reply to that. So it was asymmetrical, and it was typical of the passive-aggressive schizophrenia we see on campuses.
It's fascinating. I just want to play the moment that you mentioned when Cory Booker spoke of her truth as opposed to someone else's truth. Just watch this.
She gave credible, meaningful testimony, a woman who had the courage to come forward and tell her truth.
And that is very much the concept that we've seen on college campuses, Victor, where you have a campus court that decides sexual harassment or sexual assault cases based on the measure of a preponderance of evidence, meaning that it's more likely that it's true, that it happened, than unlikely. Now, the Trump administration is trying to eliminate that. They're trying to put a much tougher standard on college campuses, and it looks like they're sort of now ahead of the game in evolving in this process, but it's landed right in the United States Senate.
Yeah, it has, because the particular doesn't matter. Evidence, witnesses, corroboration doesn't matter. It's the generalized idea that you must always be believed, at least if your ideology, and we shouldn't forget that the ideology of the accuser and the accused is paramount in determining truth. If you're Keith Ellison or you're Bill Clinton, it's a very different matter of evidence. But what's really scary is we've embraced the culture and protocols of the French Revolution, not the American Revolution. That was the difference.
Fascinating. Thank you very much, Victor Davis Hanson. You're fascinating as always. Great piece. Thanks for being here. So we are waiting for President Trump. We understand that he is walking out on stage in the rally in Minnesota. So we are going to squeeze in a quick break here, and we'll be right back. See what he has to say about the current wobbly status, I guess, at the moment of the Kavanaugh confirmation vote, and we'll see if he weighs in on that. Rochester, Minnesota tonight. He's there campaigning for 2 House seat candidates. He really has been canvassing the country, and we expect that he's basically going to have these every other night, something like that. The pace is, I think, maybe even 20 more of these in the 33 days that remain between now and the election. And tonight we are going to dip in because we do want to see He's been talking about the Kavanaugh situation quite a bit over the past couple of days at these rallies and kind of using these venues as a way to say what's on his mind about the situation and where it stands. So he's taken in the applause, which he likes to do. So let's listen to this for a little bit.
So this is supposed to be a Democrat state. I don't think so. I don't think so. They have a very big surprise coming, don't you think? Very big. Hello, Minnesota. Great state, thank you. And I'm thrilled to be back in the heartland with thousands of hardworking and truly great American patriots. You know that. In less than 2 years of Republican leadership, America has achieved the biggest comeback in our history. True. Jobs are booming, wages are rising, and the number of Americans working right now, today, has reached an all-time high in our history. We are defending our great Second Amendment. Taking care of our wonderful veterans who we love and respect. And our military will soon be more powerful than ever before by far. But the radical Democrats want to take it all away. They want to destroy our prosperity. We've had great prosperity. You see what's happening. You don't want your 401ks being cut in half, and if you vote Democrat, that's what's going to happen. They want to erase our gains and plunge our country into a nightmare of gridlock, poverty, chaos, and frankly, crime, because that's what comes with it. So we're just 5 weeks away from one of the most important congressional elections in our lifetime. You see what's happening in Washington right now, so you know how important it is. You see what's going on. By the way, look back there. Look at all that media. Look at all that. If we could ever get them on our side, we'd win for 1,000 years. For 1,000 years. On Tuesday, November 6th, I need your vote, I need your support to stop radical Democrats and to elect proud Minnesota Republicans, and we have some great ones right now up for election. This week I announced another historic victory for our nation. We're replacing the job-killing disaster known as NAFTA with the brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement. It's called the USMCA. That works, right? USMCA. I didn't want to use NAFTA. That has been a disaster for our country. 50,000 plants and factories moving out, millions and millions of jobs lost, one of the worst trade deals ever. I actually know one that's worse, but I won't tell you because we're going to be doing something with that too. But NAFTA's been one of the great disasters of all time, And now we have a great and fair deal. We have a fair deal, and that's what we want. Great for our workers, and really great for our farmers. It's about time. We're opening it up. The barriers are coming down, and this is tremendous for Minnesota. This is tremendous for Minnesota, and you've waited for a long time. And by the way, we got plenty coming. You know what's going on with China? They want to make a deal. They want to make a deal. But I say they're not ready yet. They want to make a deal, but I told them, you want to make a deal, but you're not ready yet. So we'll talk later. We have secured landmark protections for the medical innovations being produced right here in your great state. You have great medical in your state. And we've removed unfair trade barriers for our proud Minnesota farmers and our dairy producers like has never, ever been done before in our country. America is winning again, and America is being respected again all over the world right now, and we're going to keep it that way forever. It's called America First. You even have people sitting behind the flag. It's okay. Great people. And by the way, you got thousands of people outside, and you have thousands of people who I just saw in a lovely room, but I said, next time you have to get here a couple of days earlier. Right? The only reason to vote Democrat is if you are tired of winning. That's really it. Because you're winning. You're winning a lot. There's never been an administration that in already less than 2 years, but can you believe we all did this together? We're coming up on 2 years. Can you believe it? There has never been an administration with you that's done so much in so little time. 2 years, no administration's come close. None has come close. And we've got a lot coming. If Democrats take over Congress, the stock market will plummet. They will. It will plummet. You know, there's a reason for it. Every day we hit new highs, new highs. I think we had 103 new highs. Think of it. All time. That means jobs. To a lot of people, it means great 401ks. It means great. But to a lot of people, it means jobs. It's jobs. Your 401ks will be devastated if Democrats take control. And our political system will grind to a really messy halt. And you see what's going on in Congress right now with one of the most respected people, potentially, hopefully, Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Man. What they're putting him through, and his family is incredible, what they're putting them through. Democrats want to raise your taxes. They want to restore job-killing regulations. There's been no administration ever that's cut as many regulations. And we have regulations. We want clean water. We want crystal clear air. We want beautiful environment. But you don't have to have regulation that makes it impossible for our country to compete with other countries. And that's what we're doing. The Democrats want to cripple law enforcement. They want to get rid of ICE. How about ICE? ICE, they're tough and they love our country. But you need tough ones. They're tough. They love our country. They get rid of MS-13. They get rid of these gangs. You wouldn't believe it. They throw them the hell out or they bring them to jail. The Democrats embrace socialism. We're not going to be Venezuela. You see what's happening? And open our borders to deadly drugs and violent gangs. And I've said it, and I'll say it as many times as you want to hear it, and it's because of their policy. The Democrats are truly the party of crime, because that's what happens. Open borders, that's what happens. And the Dems are willing to do anything to hurt anyone to get the power they so desperately crave. All they know is how to do, you know what the words are. They want to resist. They want to obstruct. They want to delay, demolish. They want to destroy. That's what happens. That's what happens. And just take a look at what's going on. Democrats have been trying to destroy Judge Brett Kavanaugh since the very first second he was announced. And he was announced for one simple reason. He is an incredible intellect, an incredible person, an incredible talent. He's been an incredible judge because they know that Judge Kavanaugh will protect, uphold, and defend the Constitution of the United States as written. But all you have to do is look at the polls over the last 3 or 4 days, and it shows that their rage-fueled resistance is starting to backfire at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Nobody's ever seen it. Up 11, up 10, up 14. Nobody's ever seen this before. We love it. Do we love it? Do we love it? Because people see what's happening and they don't like it. The people of Minnesota and the people of America are going to reject the Democrat politics of anger and destruction, and they are going to vote to keep making America great again, greater than ever before. And in 2 years, they're going to vote to keep America great, right? Keep America great. We're almost at that point already. But I love Make America Great, but I can't use it in 2 years. They'll say, what have you been doing? Right? What have you been doing? Oh, boy, I tell you, it's been a while. We have had fun, right? We've had fun. This is, and they don't even correct me when I say it. They don't even correct me. Fake news media. But this is, I mean, look at this thing. Look, as an example. Thousands of people in a room next door. Thousands and thousands of people outside trying to get in. This big stadium is packed, always, in all fairness to Minnesota, in Las Vegas, in Missouri. You know, in Missouri, thank you. I love you too, but you're not my type. No, but, hey, Missouri, they had 44,000 people outside of a big arena. 44,000 people. Las Vegas, we went to, West Virginia was incredible. West Virginia, Tennessee. And you see how far Tennessee went up over the last couple of days. It's incredible. Missouri, wow, have we done great. Josh. So we're thrilled to be joined by a number of your terrific Republican leaders. And I just want to introduce somebody that's been such an incredible help to me. And getting your tax cuts, I mean, not so bad. How about this? The Dems want to raise your taxes. We want to lower your taxes. We don't want crime. Crime's okay for them. They want open borders. How the hell do we not win this thing?
All right, we're just going to dip in here for just a moment and bring in the Wall Street Journal editorial board members who have been watching all of this along with us. Bill McGurn, Mary Anastasia O'Grady, and Dan Henninger, deputy editorial page editor, who's also a Fox News contributor. Welcome to all of you. Dan, you wrote an interesting piece today basically saying that we're at the point in this Kavanaugh saga of the showdown, which I thought was very interesting because the president has really been urging the GOP to fight. One of the things that people often say about the GOP is that they don't fight, that they don't battle, that they give in too easily. Has the president taught the GOP how to fight?
Yeah, I think he's given them some backbone, and I think it's taken a few other people as well. That testimony by Brett Kavanaugh, where he ripped into the Senate Judiciary Democrats, I think that gave them some backbone, and as well, Lindsey Graham's remarkable statement at that hearing. It has all kind of gotten, I think, made it clear to the Republicans that they are in a gunfight here. That politics, the Democrats have kind of gone outside the grid of normal politics. I think the Republicans have finally figured that out and concluded it's time to fight back. And that's pretty much been Trump's modus operandi from the beginning, always fight back.
You know, it's interesting, Mary, we had looked, the Washington Post just put out an editorial urging people to vote, the senators to vote against Brett Kavanaugh. And they say we haven't done this except once in the history of the paper, and that was for Robert Bork. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, the Washington Post is, I think, was predisposed to not wanting Brett Kavanaugh in the first place. So what's interesting here is that almost nobody has moved. I mean, the Democrats have said they want more investigation. They wanted to have this, very public hearing, but they're exactly where they were to start with. And I think, what's interesting about the president is that I'm not sure another president, say President Bush, would have stuck by Kavanaugh through this. I mean, it has been really ugly. But having said that, I don't think that President Trump has been helpful all the time. I don't think he was helpful when he attacked Christine Ford. And I think the real hero for me here is Mitch McConnell. Because he's really been hurting these cats and been very determined, basically, to hold the vote and to make this everybody, put up or shut up.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that if Brett Kavanaugh does get confirmed, Republicans and conservatives can point to those two heroes in this story, President Trump for giving them spine, as Dan puts it, and Mitch McConnell, who has been just so stalwart and focused, Bill, in continuing to keep him there. And nobody bailed on this nominee,
right.
Which I think a lot of us thought at some points they were going to, cut their losses and move on.
Right, and I agree with Dan. Look, we wouldn't be where we are today if Brett Kavanaugh had not given the speech that he gave and the answers. I mean, knowing him as I do, I could see his body language getting comfortable, but I also give him credit because he said he would not withdraw. Vote against me, but we're going to have accountability. And Mitch McConnell has a constituency of 3, Jeff Flake, Susan Collins, and Lisa Murkowski. And he's been very shrewd about how to go about it. And I think actually, in the end, Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, I think they're fair-minded people. There's no evidence. I don't see them depriving a man of the seat based on an unsubstantiated allegation from so many years ago with no evidence. And in fact, the evidence that we've got since she's made the charge contradicts her claim by the people that she supplied.
So you were pointing out, Dan, that the Wall Street Journal has just released an editorial by Brett Kavanaugh, and he says, I'm an independent jurist, independent judge, and he also, at the top of it, in italics, says, when I spoke in that hearing, and he's been criticized for being too emotive and too angry, I spoke as a father, I spoke as a dad, I spoke as a son.
Yeah, that's right. The article by Brett Kavanaugh is on the Wall Street Journal's website right now. It will be in tomorrow's paper. And essentially is, again, another defense of his temperament. He said, look, when I spoke to those Democrats, I was protecting my family, my name, and my reputation in public life. And probably, he said, I said a few things that maybe I should not have. But he says, I want to making it clear, I believe in the rule of law. I'm an impartial judge. Have always been an impartial judge on the appellate court and will continue to be so if confirmed to the Supreme Court.
I mean, you can see where he's coming from here, because he's already facing opposition from some people who say that the things that he said in that hearing with regard to President Trump and, this is all just payback from the Clintons, that it might urge some people to say that he has to remove himself, recuse himself from certain cases, Mary.
But, this is just proof that really they just want to get rid of him no matter what. And so they tried to get rid of him through a personal smear. It didn't work. So now they've moved to another, battleground, which is to say, well, forget about all that. It's his temperament that's wrong. And, I thought that actually seeing that human side of him was comforting to me, because if he had gone up there and been very robotic and unemotional, I think that might have been even more damaging to him than what he did. You can say that maybe he shouldn't have had the exchange he had with Senator Klobuchar. That's probably true, but
which he came back and apologized for, essentially.
He apologized, and a lot of those senators who were questioning him also owe him an apology, because, as Bill says, there's absolutely no evidence for these charges. That would make anyone furious.
This isn't going to end. We saw the protesters in Washington, so
right.
Even if he does secure his seat on the Supreme Court as a justice, I'm imagining that the day he has his first day in court, those steps are probably going to be flooded with protesters. I think this will be very invigorating in some ways to Democrats.
I think it is, but I think it's been invigorating to Republicans, just from my informal, non-political contacts of what people say, especially the moms who have sons, and just see the unfairness. I think Mary makes a good point. There are a lot of people that owe Brett Kavanaugh an apology for their behavior, the way they throw around unsubstantiated charges. And there's nothing too crazy to throw up on the air or print or something to say about this guy. And I'd like to know, look, when he gave that speech, I wanted to stand up and cheer, because I know him, I know his wife, I know his kids, and I thought he defended himself ably. And I would like to know, if that's not right, what is the proper comportment for a man accused of gang rape with no evidence?